Hello, everyone, and good morning. Welcome to our live feed update for October 12th. I'm your host, Taran Armstrong, and I'm here today to update you on everything that happened yesterday on the Big Brother 26 live feeds. It was day 88 in the house, and we had part two of the final three HOH. Of course, another big one. I mean, not really that big, actually. We shouldn't really devalue the statement of it was a big one when it wasn't, because it really wasn't. After Chelsie won part one of the final three HOH, it was already, I mean, listen, it's been over for a while, but it was all like even more over. Um, so of course, it's really just like, will it somehow then be even more over? Will MJ win part two and make it seem as though at least that this is even more over? That is the question of the day. And of course, yeah, that's what happened. Yeah, it's Mackenzie beat Cam in part two of the final three HOH. It apparently wasn't even particularly close this time. I did talk yesterday about how you'd think Cam would have the edge in part one, even though he didn't win, and that MJ would have the edge in part two. That one turned out to be true. Mackenzie will be going up against Chelsie in part three of the final three HOH to determine who becomes the final HOH of the season. Now, worth noting that even though it's basically like, listen, again, we're talking about Chelsea's had this thing locked up for a while now, but there is still something on the line. Well, technically, there's two things. Technically, it's the win itself. Like, technically, Mackenzie could decide that she wants to win, you know, weird thought, and take Cam, right? But then the other thing, the more likely thing, or at least the thing that seems more up in the air, is that if Chelsie wins part three of the final three HOH, that will make for her fifth HOH total over the entire season. And that's relevant because it is the most amount of HOH wins of anybody in a single season of the game. So that's exciting, right? It's weird because it doesn't feel like Chelsie has won a ton of things. But week two, week 8, then during the double eviction, and then the final 4 HOH is 4 HOHs. It's she already has 4 HOHs. So the thing here is that she doesn't actually have any veto wins, which is part of why she maybe doesn't seem like she's been winning a ton. And then in addition to that, she only had the one AI arena win. But yeah, so weirdly enough, like all of the big comp beasts, they all had like basically 4 HOHs, some of them only 3, with a ton of veto wins. But Chelsea's the ops. She may hold the HOH win record with 0 veto wins, which is wild. It's a wild thing to, especially because the HOH is guaranteed to play in every veto, right? At least in the US version. So anyway, that's kind of fun. So with MJ as the winner of part two, it's just a matter of which one of them is going to go ahead and win part three and potentially take the other. That's the question, right? MJ obviously has been indicating for a while now that she's going to take Chelsie, but Chelsie kind of has her pick of the litter. She can take MJ or she can take Cam, and she has a much better chance of, well, she has a much better chance of beating Cam with more votes, I guess. We were predicting, or at least the audience was predicting, that she would beat Cam unanimously, or at least close to it. Whereas MJ might pick up a couple of votes. It really shouldn't matter for Chelsie, but the question still remains. It certainly matter. It certainly matters for the two of Cam and Mackenzie. It's a $75,000 decision there. So that's still something worth talking about. MJ and Chelsie do talk about going to the final two together. Like, hey, it's us. We did it. It's the final two. We're the women. Women in the final two. MJ's talking about being the youngest one ever. No, you're not. They're talking about being, again, like first time women, final two, final three. Still not happening. But someday history will be remembered. I don't know. There's a lot of crush talk, of course, because that's it's this house. But then also, interestingly enough, there was, I think, a more interesting conversation between Chelsie and Cam, where basically Chelsie Chelsie basically just comes out and asks him, "So Cam, let's assume that you were voting on the jury between me and MJ. No, there's no reason, just in the event that you just happen to be, like, if you just had to choose right now, who would you vote for?" And of course he says, "Oh, I'd vote for you." um, I'd vote for you, Chelsie. So she's like, "Well, listen, now that I know that I have your vote locked up if you're in the jury, I'm definitely taking you to the final two. Don't worry about it." She does. She actually does. No sarcasm in her actual statement. She tells him she's going to try her best to win this part three of the final three HOH and take him to the final two with her. Which also a little bit sounds like something that somebody who was planning to throw the competition would say, but I don't think she's planning to throw it. That would be pretty silly. Why even bother? Leave it up to chance. He says, "Listen, thanks. I think you're gonna win regardless." I think I think MJ's taking you. I think if you can take me, it doesn't matter. You're gonna win. My speech is gonna be like, "Hey guys, listen, we know what's up. It's not happening for me." Um, I got one win. That's it. Uh, he asks her what she thinks her biggest moves were, and she's like, I mean, controlling MJ's HOHs. I mean, what do you want me to say? Um, so there it is. That's what we've got for now. You know, I usually tell you like what we're looking out for. Theoretically, what we're looking out for is a conversation between Cam and Mackenzie, right? Or any indication that Mackenzie is looking to try to win the game herself, or Cam trying to get into Mackenzie's head about taking him or something along those lines. Honestly, I don't get the vibe that Cam really plans to try all that much, specifically because now that he's lost parts 1 and 2 and he's boxed out of the final 3 HOH, I think he genuinely feels like he can't win the game regardless. I think he might have considered the thought of cutting Chelsie, taking MJ. Whether he would have done it or not is another question. But like now that he can't even be the one to make that move, I think he very well recognizes that it's like, what are you going to do? Now, again, it is $75,000. Like it's has nothing to, like just turn away for no particular reason. So even then you might say like, yeah, well, I mean, come on, Cam, like go get that money at least. But it doesn't feel like there's a ton of urgency from Cam to try to campaign to MJ. At this point. So it doesn't seem like there's much happening there. There's really not much to look out for here. There's not a lot of game talk still. Of course, this house stopped game talking a while ago. But yeah, I think that's about where we are in terms of this finale coming up tomorrow. So I expect a lot of just random hanging out, more talking about crushes and Leah and Quinn and Rubina and Tucker and you know marriages and just whatever else these people talk about. And then tomorrow night we'll have our finale. We'll crown Chelsie our winner, and that'll be the season. Of course, stay tuned. There's still going to be plenty of coverage here. I'll be back tomorrow morning, 11 a.m. Eastern, to update you on everything that happens today. Who knows? Maybe something big happens. You'll never know until you come and listen to the update. And then, of course, tomorrow night, the finale. You can find me on Twitch. I'll be streaming it live. And then after the finale, we'll be live to talk through it all. We'll probably have some exit interviews in the next coming days after that. Stay tuned for any deep dives and game recaps. Not exactly equipped to do them right now, but I have an idea that I hope will be maybe even better. I've been kind of playing around with the format for those for a while. I feel like I've got, hopefully, we'll see, an idea, maybe a post-season thing to maybe like go along with. We'll see. Don't listen to me. But in the meantime, that's what I've got. Thank you all so much for hanging out with me so far. We got one more of these to go. And yeah, I'll see all of you next time.